recorded and.
Alright, well, that's good.
It's getting
Yeah.
recorded
Just
by
to
the
that,
next day or
just
whatever.
kind
But,
of
you know,
put it in
deeds will, we'll have it
just
in
in
escrow
case.
section.
We just,
We'll
we
put
turned
the
off
deeds in
all the
escrow
cell
with the
phones,
title company,
TV,
and then they'll
everything.
talk about
It was
work
like a
with the
real-
city to get the recorded plat.
I
And they'll,
just, I
then they'll
love
quote.
that piece. It's just so nice. You know, the wind comes over and you
But
just
yeah, no,
hear
we're not
the
gonna do a thing
constantly
where we're
moving
gonna
to
give
go,
away
go
any
like
property
that.
and then the
And,
plat, we're gonna have the plat and all that
it's just not
happen
crowded.
at the same time.
Which I'm sure probably wasn't too crowded.
No, it wasn't, this is right before spring break, so they just.
Good evening and welcome to your City Commission meeting. Please turn off or silence all cell phones during the meeting. Just a reminder that meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 and midnight at 6 p.m. and midnight and are available for viewing on YouTube. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by silent meditation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. We'll begin with old business. First up, at the consideration of the previous minutes from February 25th, 2025.
I move that we approve the minutes from February 25th, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been, motion's made and seconded, and we'll begin voting with Commissioner Hingela.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Next up is second consideration ordinance number 8262. It's a special use permit to allow a two-family dwelling at 1112 Spruce Street. This is a roll call vote.
Mayor and Commission, this is about converting a house into a two-family unit. It's in the R1 6 zoning, so it is required to have a special use permit. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this item, and staff has not received any public comments or questions since the last reading. That's what so again, it's the same as it was during the first consideration.
All right. Commission, any questions?
No.
Are you comfortable starting voting? All right, we'll begin with Commissioner Griffin.
Commissioner Martin, aye.
Griffin, Martin.
Bowder.
Sorry, I call you Griffin. Sorry, Martin. Commissioner Martin,
It's all right.
do you have a question, or do you want to start voting?
Oh, I just started.
Okay, sorry.
Bowder, aye.
Gosh, Pittman, aye.
Wilson, aye.
Hingula, aye.
All right, motion passes. I'm so sorry, Griffin.
No, it's all good.
All right, new business. We'll begin with public comment. Just a reminder that public comment is limited to 3 minutes, and no action will be taken by the commission on public comment items. Please state your name and your address. A sign-up sheet has been provided in the commission chambers for anyone wanting to speak this evening. And do we have anyone signed up?
We do. Our first up is William Bentley.
All right. Welcome, Mr. Bentley.
Thank you. William Bentley, live at 1912 Evergreen Street. Lived here since 1991. I was here, probably the last time was in November of 2020 when we petitioned the commissioners for renovation of the Cody Park to the 8 pickleball courts. I want to thank you. They're live and well, and last night when I played, all 8 courts were full and people were waiting. So, very good. My purpose is asking for some maintenance, not all the time, but in the fall when there's leaves. Prior, it was easy to blow them off, and we did that. But now that the courts are separated by a fence in there, they pile up, and it's difficult to remove them. And they become a safety issue if they become wet or damp. So I'm asking, in the fall, to have the maintenance crew that handles the mowing there to come in maybe once a week and remove the leaves it's really on the 4 south courts. And then if there's a snow, when the temperature gets above 45, if there's snow, people are going to want to get out on there. And I saw the email that Steve Grant put out that there was some minor damage from the shovels. And we don't want that to happen. You spend a lot of money on the courts, and we appreciate that. So if maybe they could look at a solution for at least 4 courts when the temperature gets above and stays above 45 for several days, people are going to want to get out. The last thing is consider, I don't know who the director of Park and Rec, who's supervised by, but over the years, I've called and left voice messages and emails, and never once has he ever responded to me or anybody else that I play with at call. I would like to recommend that they put in his performance appraisal that he calls or responds to telephone or emails within, 24 or 48 hours. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me. And, everybody was on the message that he sent out, or actually the acting mayor at the time sent out. No, it wasn't the acting mayor, it was the acting city manager. And thought it was very inappropriate. I asked a simple question.
Okay.
We don't, that should be taken up with the city manager, and I don't think that it's appropriate to talk about staff.
Okay, I didn't put him by name, I just put him by title.
Well,
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
That's all I have then.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll, can you have someone look into that for us? Okay. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have William Rogers.
William Rogers, 73, 73rd Yecker, KCK. First off, I want to thank the Commission of Mayors for allowing me to speak here tonight. And I don't want to wear out my welcome, but I understand that the corporate organization is going to get way more than 3 minutes, and I understand that, and I'm not upset, but I'm trying to make the best use of my time. So recently at the open house, I believe that Core Civic, one of the executives, was asked about the violence at the facility prior, and they said it was an isolated incident, a couple isolated incidents. So I want to read a little bit to you here. Hinkson, assault and surgery, true, assault stitches. Grayson, stabbed in chest, night in the hospital, he was very lucky. Fenton, assault, taken to hospital. Miss Hall, assaulted, stitches. Foskett, hit in the head during a large disturbance. Spears, beat unconscious, taken to KU hospital. His wife didn't recognize him when she got there. Miss Graves, her hair was pulled out. Proctor, assault, broken arm, pushed down the stairs. Sergeant Ramu, I was there that day. He had a large chunk bitten out of the back of his hand. Barton was hit in the face with a lock and a sock. The bubble officer, we had one that day, he was asleep. Was sleeping in Unit 4, heard the radio call, had a hard time locating him on camera. Barton and Officer Benson fought the inmate. Rogers, that's me, my head was split open. Here's one of the pictures. Polito, she was punched and stabbed in the face. Lots of injuries. Levering, hot water thrown in her face, multiple stab wounds, and broken bones, 16 surgeries. Don't know the extent of the following employees' damage, but Hart, Moore, Smith, Stanford, Birch, Van Winkle, Russell, Dino, and Alvarado, they were all injured too inside that facility. So I don't look at it as isolated incidents. That's not what I call isolated. The last 2 years, 21, you had about 66 calls for service to that facility. 20, you had about 41. Over the last 5 years there, you had 122 police reports made. I'll make those available to you later this week. On November 6, 2019, the warden at the time was quoted in a Leavenworth Times article as we were 45 staff down. That's a huge number to be short-staffed. Shouldn't have been running a facility like that. Here I have an employee. Well, here's my comments to the facility went back to 2018. I have a letter here to the then warden about the safety issues and staff shortages. So don't think I just came out of the woodwork now to start talking about these issues. They've been ongoing for a long time. Also have emails to the warden from a young lady that worked there. She started as an officer. She had 2 kids. She got promoted up to unit team. During that time, she sent a couple emails towards the end to the warden about her safety, about the drugs, about her fear. She asked for his assistance. He said, I'll be down to see you on Monday. He never came. He never showed. So on Tuesday morning, she turned in her resignation, which I have right here, and she turned in her keys and she left there. She had no job to go to. She had 2 kids to support, but she thought her safety was more important to raising kids than that job.
Thank
So she filed for unemployment. Of course, Civic denied it or contested it, but let me read you what the state
So
said when they done the.
unfortunately, you're out of time, but if you want to send all that, you have it all, copies of all that, you want to
I do,
email all that
I
to
would
us?
just like to say that the state agreed with her and found that she had no other choice but to resign her position due to safety. That's
Okay.
from the state, and I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, thank you for coming, and if you want to send all that information to us,
And
that'd be good.
I would like to ask that when this lady comes and talks, I know she gets 3 minutes. Her story can't be told in 3 minutes. I'm asking this commission to give her the time she needs. We owe it to her.
Thank you, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and next we have Dean Ayers.
My name is Dean Ayers, it's my wife Annette. We ran the airport up here for the city of Leavenworth for about 20 years now. And I would like to invite the commissioners to come up and see actually what we've done up there from some of the monies that's been spent through the grant money. I'd like to have you come up and really look to see what's all going on up there.
Absolutely, could you look into maybe if the commissioners are interested to, I don't want to call it a field trip, but maybe a field trip,
Sure, we can follow up on that.
Plane trip.
plane trip,
It'd be great to see what you've been doing.
yeah. All right,
Okay?
We'll
very
see what we
good.
can do. Thank
very
you.
much. I think you'll be impressed with the airport.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anybody else? Is that it? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for the public comment. All right, next up is mayor's appointment. And I would like to move to appoint to the Leavenworth Planning Commission Kenneth Bateman to an unexpired term ending in May 1st, 2026. It does require a second and a vote.
Second.
Second, all right. We'll begin voting with Commissioner Hingala.
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. Motion passes. All right, next up is consider award to purchase and install water pollution control screw press.
This is our Public Works Director, Brian Faust. And Tim Guardado, our Director of our wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. As stated, the item this evening is to consider approval of the purchase of a new dewatering screw press, equipment only, and approval of the installation of the press. This will replace the older belt press at the wastewater treatment plant. In 2023, the city began investigating options for the replacement of the existing dewatering belt press. The existing press has been rebuilt in the past, and the availability of parts and associated costs has become an issue. The city paid to fly personnel to Kansas City to diagnose issues and then repair. If the press is down, the sludge is stored in holding tanks until repairs are complete. Depending on when the breakdown occurs, the plant has the capacity to hold 1 to 2 weeks of material. The press actually broke down this past Friday, and staff, Tim was able to locate a part for repair that is 71 days out. He was able to get someone in to weld back, so we do have a temporary fix. But this is an ongoing issue. 2 demonstration projects were done to evaluate how a new type of dewatering press worked. Based on these demonstrations, the city moved ahead with design of a replacement press.
Bless you.
To help expedite the purchase of the equipment and to eliminate markup, the city elected to work directly with the equipment manufacturers to purchase the equipment. The city also worked with 4 contractors who had expertise in installing the equipment. The new equipment will be installed immediately adjacent to the belt press, the existing belt press. So if you go upstairs in the main building, there's a big open space just to the east of the existing belt press. It will fit right in there. And that actually allows us to keep the existing belt press and use it in cases of emergency. The city currently has roughly $2.5 million in ARPA funds available for sewer treatment upgrades. The upfront cost associated with the purchasing of the equipment and having it installed is $997,900. Staff does recommend the City Commission approve the purchase and installation of the press in 2 separate motions. The first motion is to authorize the mayor to sign a contract for the purchase of the PW Tech Volute dewatering press from Process Wastewater Technologies LLC for $714,200. The second motion would be to authorize the mayor to sign a contract for the installation of the press from Walters Morgan Construction for $283,700. And Tim and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Brian?
No, I went through it.
No, that's a pain having to wait for parts.
Okay, I was like, where you are, hold on.
All right, so if there's no questions, we'll need two motions.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign a contract for the purchase of the PW Tech Volute dewatering press, screw press from Process Water Technologies, not to exceed $714,200.
Okay.
Second on that one.
Second, okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we'll begin voting with Commissioner Burton.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. The second motion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I move to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a contract for the installation of the press from Walters Morgan Construction, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $283,700.
Second.
Okay, motion made second, we'll begin voting with Commissioner Hengler.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. All right, thank you. All right, next up, staff report from the library. Hello, Matt.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
See, we had to cancel you out
Yeah.
because of the weather, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, it was pretty bad that day.
Yeah, it was.
I think I know what I'm doing here. Good evening, everybody. My name's Matt Noyanen. I'm the director of the Leavenworth Public Library. I've been here for about 10 years. I think everybody received the documents that I sent that provided a general annual report for library services for 2024. I don't know if you had a chance to look that over or if you have any questions. All I can say is that the library services continue to grow. We continue to expand our reach into the community. We continue to serve more people, providing more services and a wider variety of services than we ever have before. So are there any general questions about that, about the 24 progress report?
No.
Okay. There were some graphics attached with that. I'm not sure if everybody, you should be on a mailing list to receive our newsletter, so everybody received a copy of our most current newsletter. And again, that's a good way we found to communicate to the community about what's going on, new people at the library, new events, new things that are happening. Are there any questions about that? And hopefully you all received one.
That came through the
Yep.
email, yeah.
Good.
And you did a great job with lots of activities and lots going on at the library, great things.
Excellent. My main goal tonight, and I've approached the city before on this subject, but it's always been kind of bad timing. It was after the budget was approved. We've been discussing this for about 3 years. My first conversation with the city officials was with Paul Kramer and the city engineer back in January 2022, after we had done our strategic plan and got a lot of comments about the facility. I approached him and said, what could we do to begin discussions about an improvement, physical improvement to the library facility? And he suggested that the first thing we had to do is go out and generate some funds on our own to help support what we all agreed was a good first step, which is a needs assessment. That's a very common practice in evaluating the current status of a building, the needs of today versus the needs of yesterday and the needs of the future. So we did that, and we raised over $16,000 to help defray those costs. And again, I approached the commissioners before, but it was bad timing. When I do my half-year reports, it was after the budget. So I'd like to do a couple of things tonight. I have some illustrations. I think this is the first time all the years I've come to visit you that I have actually had visual aids. So I thought I would show you some slides and some photographs that I took of the library and a little bit about some of the issues. This doesn't cover all of them, and it doesn't cover a lot of the major ones. But this is the hose bib next to our front door. There's our book drop there. That hasn't worked for several years. Different attempts have been made to fix it. It simply doesn't work. And there are garden beds along that side of the library that require watering. And in order for the volunteers from the garden, or from the master gardeners to do that, they have to hook up a hose clear to the other side of the building and drape it across the front. This is the front of the building that faces west, and I believe, looking at the city's CIP plans for next year, this is one of the items that was on the list for repairs. So you can see where that metal paneling is coming off the front. There was a concern when we had the big roof leak in the yawn room that closed it down for about 2 months. The water might have been penetrating from that spot. It wasn't. But water must definitely be getting down in there and soaking the side of the building. I'm not exactly sure what's behind it, what kind of surface is there, how permeable it is. This is the door on the corner of 4th and Spruce. This used to be the main door of the library before the addition was put on in 2009. This alcove is out of the way. It's out of sight. It's out of mind. It's unfortunately a place where people decide to use the bathroom. We've spent several $100s on biohazard cleaning in that spot. It's a camping spot sometimes in bad weather because it's out of the way, it's out of the wind and weather. Our interior doors have never had an auto door opener, and they have to be propped open for use by people in wheelchairs, people with strollers. And the idea that only people who are handicapped or disabled need this is not exactly accurate. I was there the other day after our Wiggle workshop. There were two mothers who had 2 strollers, armloads of books, little toddlers that they were trying to handle, and they couldn't get that door open. I opened it for them. In order to make sure that people who are in that situation can't get in and out of the library, we have to prop it open, which of course defeats the purpose of having an airlock. Our gas bills, we've spent about 1/3 of our budget on our gas bills already this year because of the extreme cold and because we have to leave this door open. The heating and the air conditioning blows out that door. Every time the front door opens, it escapes. Those doors also, the whole framework is sagging. Those are contacts for our security system at the top, and it's kind of a wrestling match to get those to close and meet at the end of the day so the alarm doesn't go off when people try to leave for the evening. This is the situation, our light bulbs in the main part of the building. They're quite a distance off the floor. You can't get to them. We have to have someone come in with a lift, and it takes 2 people.
Who does those? Who replaces those? The city?
The city sends the lift in. We usually pay an electrician to do it.
Okay.
And you can see a lot of them, they go out, they're old style, they're old fluorescent bulbs. They burn out pretty frequently, but instead of having the lift come in, every month or whatever, we usually wait a certain amount of time so that they do a few of them at a time. But you can see the dark spots in the ceiling are where bulbs have failed and are not working. Even when they do work, did you read the report that I sent about the facility? They put out a very loud buzz, and you don't notice it until you come in at night. I don't notice it anymore because I've been around it a lot. But at night, when a few of these lights are on, it sounds like this room. But when you when you hit that switch, boom, there's an immediate buzzing sound that goes through the entire building the entire time we're open. Our exterior walls, this is the north side along Spruce, and it's spalling. There's just decay. The facade is chipping and cracking, which of course allows water penetration. And this runs, whoops, there we go. Pretty much the whole length of the building. Can I go back?
You may have hit the back arrow.
There it is. This is our first floor janitor closet. That picture is taken from the door. It really doesn't show how small that is. There's barely room in there. There's a sink in the corner, but there's barely room in there for the equipment that the janitors use. We have a very kind of a makeshift shelf there for all their chemicals and supplies. The locks of the yawn room do not work. They haven't forever. We've had the locksmith come in multiple times and try to fix this. Parts are hard to come by. These locks were made in 1986, so short of replacing them all, there's no way that we can really trust those locks to stay secure at all times. And in that room, this is our emergency exit. There's steps. So I don't know what would happen if the emergency was immediately outside those doors. We had someone in that room with mobility issues that needed to evacuate. There are 6 steps there.
What do you do if there's so no one with a wheelchair could get out there, correct?
Someone would have to lift them, someone would have to carry them. So you can see the problem.
Yeah.
This, and I've heard different stories of how this happened. Someone has told me that the filters in our HVAC system weren't changed for quite a while, so a lot of dust and dirt and grime accumulated, and it blows out through those vents there. It stained the tiles. Those tiles are really old, very heavy. They can't be cleaned. They have a really rough surface on them. That dust is permanently adhered to those. So replacing them is really the only answer. A lot of people think it's black mold, and I get a lot of questions about that. It's not mold, it's simply dust from an HVAC system that was not cleaned the way it should have been, or the filter shouldn't have been replaced. At least that's what I've heard, is where it came from. This are the skylights in the addition. At least one of them leaks about every year. I've built libraries and done renovations before, and I've had architects say, wouldn't a skylight be nice? And I say, no, it wouldn't, because inevitably they leak. Building a ceiling or building a roof with holes in it may be an interesting architectural feature, but you're really looking at some serious maintenance problems down the way. This is a problem with, and if you look at the report, one of the issues that the old Carnegie had was there aren't enough electrical outlets. Well, there aren't enough electrical outlets here. These are carols that people use when they come in to use our wireless. They plug in their computers, they plug in their devices, whatever they're using to access the internet. There are no plugs, so we've had to daisy chain extension cords across multiple desks to provide that service, which is dangerous. There are potential electrical shocks. They're not across the floor, but it's still not the best way to handle this at all. And that's looking in the other direction, towards the atrium. This is a storage closet in the addition. That's another storage closet in the addition. They're right next to each other, and there's a wall in between. I have no idea why two storage closets would have been built next to each other, separated like that. Two separate doors, two separate locks. They're right next to each other. So the idea, I don't know, you'd have to measure the cubic feet of the wall space, but I would imagine there's at least a couple hundred cubic feet of space that are being wasted there because of the wall that intervenes between those two.
Were they originally offices or something?
No, this up here is the network. And to extend the network capability down to the addition, they built this electric and computer switch box there.
Okay.
So no, those were never offices. There was only one plug in this entire room, so they were never intended to be offices.
Got it.
Doors on the east room are also a problem. They won't unlock. We have to push them open from the inside and prop them open when they're being used. They simply will not unlock. They're secure, but we can't unlock them from the
So
outside.
if someone's in there and that door's shut, they can't.
There is another door. You can see it right over here. There is another way out, so no one's actually trapped in the room. And that's the door that we use, that will unlock, and we use to open and get into the room. So there is a way out of the room.
Okay.
But the main door itself, once it's shut for good, unless you go around through the other door, unlock that, and go to this one. This, our upstairs boiler room behind the south part of the library is basically where all of our equipment and tools and everything are stored, including our light bulbs. So this spot is as far away from our light bulbs as you can get. Some of those light bulbs that get are 8, 9 feet long. You have to go through 3 doors and a set of steps with them. Someone has to hold the door for you in order to get those bulbs out, or the door will close behind you and shatter them. And those are the famous bulbs. This is the boiler room where they're located now. This is the other end of that's the electrical room down there where all the utility comes in. And these are boxes of filters. The only place to store the filters that are used to replace and keep the system maintained is in that room, stacked up, kind of piled anywhere that any space that's available. This is the upstairs janitor's closet. So we have 2 janitor's closets. This is the only one large enough to hold supplies, so it's far from the main janitor closet downstairs. There's a sink, but it's around the corner, you can't see it. And this actually looks pretty good, but once we get another shipment of supplies, the only place we have is to stack them right there, which makes turning that corner and getting to that sink almost impossible without moving this and a lot of stuff out of the way. This is our steps where we come in from the parking lot. This doesn't really, I think the next picture shows it a little better. This is during the day with the lights out. And when you come in at night, or you come in the morning before the sun is up, it's pitch black. And there's no light switch at the bottom of those stairs. You have to go up the stairs, down to the end of the hall, clear to the elevators before you can turn the lights on in that entire corridor. And then this is the loading dock. If you read the report, we do 13.9 tons of material that come in on an annual basis. And that's just books. I'm not even counting DVDs and other material that we share with other libraries coming and going, and then we buy and the shipments that come in for our materials. So the delivery drivers park here, they hoik them up over that, it's 5 feet tall, and our staff bends over that space to grab those or to pull them in once they're set up on that ledge. Each of those bins could weigh anywhere from 50 to 60 pounds apiece. So I think that's not the best way for material to get in and out of the library. And that's another one of the problems when the needs assessment was done in the Carnegie. Access was a big problem. And again, it was a problem that hasn't been solved yet. That access isn't improved. All of our deliveries come in there.
Has anyone fallen?
Not yet, no. And in the wintertime, of course, that's icy. As we had that big ice storm and snow last week. That faces west. The building has it in the shade constantly. It's about the last part of the library parking lot that actually melts. And the shadow of the building extends out over the parking lot till about 1 o'clock. So the main area, which is actually closest to the door and most convenient and includes our handicapped parking, stays in the shade and does not melt and clear because of the shadow of that tall roof that's on the side of the building. And that is just empty space. The on-room building, the roof ceiling is about this tall. The roof extends up basically almost to a second 2.5 stories tall. So I'm here to request through financial support for a needs assessment that will shape the best possible library services to the community in years to come. Because not only are these physical aspects, the lighting, the electricity, the convenience of cleaning and maintaining the building, the access to the building, not only for patrons, but for everything, all their shipments. When someone returns a book, we go out, we pick that book up, we walk miles between our main desk and our book drop to return those, to get those books back on the shelf. All of these problems, I believe, can be solved. For over 100 years, the city has allocated public funds for operating, maintaining, and improving the former Carnegie Library and the current facility. These investments represent the city's commitment to quality library services, which the community, the board, administration, and staff of the library deeply appreciate. There's no doubt that the city has absolutely been great when it comes to doing major repairs at the library, new parking lot, a new atrium. Future projects include CIP funds for a new urethane roof coating and repair or replacement of those west wall panels that are partially detached. And these projects are yet another positive expression of the city's exceptional care and commitment. Given the fundamental needs identified in 1984 that have yet to be achieved, and those appear in the report, I won't rehash all of them for you. The clear message about facility needs expressed by the public in 2022 and the dramatically different ways the community uses the library today and will in the future, we believe a more comprehensive approach offers real benefits and long-term solutions that will improve the usefulness and efficiency of the library facilities and services. When the needs assessment was done, one of the problems that I identified with the Carnegie is that you can't see anything. And if you sit at you can't see a single door at the library from any of our service desks now. The one door's around the corner. Just, again, the problems that were identified, new building, didn't solve it. Didn't complete that mission, I guess. And we share the same fundamental mission, which is serving the community. And we leased the building from the city, and in 1985 a lease was drafted and signed by both parties, and I think it's a good expression of the spirit of our partnership that's been so successful for so many years. And I'd like to quote that. The parties in making this agreement have entered into saying with the hope and belief that the use of the facilities to be provided by the library shall be a great advantage and benefit to the people of the city of Leavenworth, Kansas. They will endeavor to so treat each other as to give evidence of the highest good faith and the greatest consideration, each for the other, all in the interest of providing the best possible library services to the community. So I would ask the commission, as you're discussing, considering, and looking at your 2026 budget to fund. It's tough to say, and I've been asked this before, how much will it cost? We don't know. No more, you put out an RFP, it's just like the bidding process. You get responses back based on the scope of the work you want done, and you hire the people you think are best qualified and that you can afford. The estimates that I've gotten are pretty rough, but from people in the business, looking at the scope that was drafted, and you have a copy of that in your packet, I've heard anywhere from 50 to 60,000. We have 16. We'd like to, if the city could commit $40,000, I believe the library could, if it ended up being more than that, more than the 16 plus the 40 the city committed, the library board, I'm certain would support that as well. But the goal would be to look at the facility, look at the shortcomings, look at the comments made by the public from our survey, gather people together, library staff, library users. I would love to see a representative of the city sit down and be part of this committee and discuss what the building should look like in the future. What's the best approach? Is it a renovation? Is it a tear down and rebuild? Is it a new library somewhere else? I really would like everyone to keep their minds open. When the first needs assessment was done, they looked at 7 different sites throughout the community. So even in '84, the idea that the library would relocate was certainly something that was on the table and being considered at the time. None of the sites that were originally on that were included the Yon building. And when the Yon building, I don't know how it happened. I don't know who proposed it. I don't know how the agreement was made. But after the fact, after the needs assessment, and the Yon building looked like the first choice, the architects warned that it's already 10,000 square feet smaller than what you said you needed. It's got 2 floors, and we said you shouldn't do that. About 15% of the floor space is on a mezzanine, which serves no public use. We have our offices up there. So there are a lot of, I guess, sacrifices were made in moving into the Yon room that cut short the vision of the group of people that got together and worked on that needs assessment back in '84. So I would like, again, to please request your support. I know you're discussing the budget now. Hopefully I'm getting in early enough where you can consider this in your future plans for 2026.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I remember, Mr. Yon had something to do with that. I don't remember if he donated the building or how that happened, but anyway, I do remember when it was completely remodeled with the library director at that time. My question is, how are there grant opportunities out there that you've heard from other libraries or anything like that to do repairs on libraries or to do assessments or anything else?
Not for assessments. I know that there are HUD funds available, but Leavenworth is what's the word I'm looking for? An entitlement city, I think. Is it entitlement for HUD? Is that the term?
I can't remember if they are or not.
I've spoken with people about there are no city HUD funds available for this because those are already allocated for other purposes, and library construction is not in there. There was some talk that the federal government would resurrect a program called the Library Services, or the Library Services Construction Act, or LCS. I can't remember the exact term. It went away in '93. The library worked at in Ohio got the last one that was offered, got $500,000, but that program went away as the federal government's attention on library grants turned to technology. Bricks and mortar.
I don't see that happening now anyway, so, but I was gonna ask about ADA funds that apply for something like this, because you are obviously non-ADA accessible.
And Mayor,
That's something to look at.
Commissioner, I made a note to take a look at the ADA door, so that's an item that staff will follow up on and ensure we're in compliance for a public space.
And the rest.
Exit, like, that's the only exit that.
Yeah, the exits.
It may not be required to be power accessible, but we'll take a look at that and see what we need to do.
Okay.
And the report that I sent also showed we have several bathrooms that I think, and the way I've heard ADA described is you can abide by letter of, and you can abide by the spirit. I guess our one bathroom is ADA accessible, but I don't see how it will be possible for someone in a wheelchair to back up, get off that wheelchair, because they can't get their wheelchair beside the commode. 2 of our bathrooms are, but 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are not. There's no way that you could get off a wheelchair and onto those commodes in those restrooms. So there are, accessibility is one of the issues that was described in the 84 needs assessment that we're still struggling with. But I honestly don't know if ADA has any grants for, and if they did, I'm not sure if it would include general planning or if it would be just for the ADA aspects of it.
Yeah, Matt, I know you could probably get 5 to 10 lighting companies come in and do like a an LED lighting assessment or something like that for your whole facility for no cost because they want your money, you know. But it seemed like that was one that came up a few times was lighting.
And again, there are more issues than just the lighting. It really is the
Sure.
structure of the building, the way that the building functions right now. When our books are delivered, they come in up that 5-foot wall, they go into a room, they're processed down the hall, onto an elevator, down the stairs, clear across to where their service desk
Very
is.
unwieldy. I've been through there.
If those books,
Several
if our
times.
delivery area was right there, came in a door directly into that processing department, which is right next to the main area, that would make the books, streamline the whole process of bringing them in, cataloging them, and getting them out onto the shelf. So there are design features, the way that the layout of the building, the floor plan of the building, the height of the shelves, the location of the shelves. There's so many ways that we have a lot of people that need small meeting spaces. We have the yon room, we have the east room, but a lot of people want to work together with a couple of people. Most of the libraries, if you've been to Tonganoxie Library, this isn't just here. Most of the libraries that are being built now offer several small work areas that are wired, that have computer access and other equipment that allows people in a modern sense to work together. We have one small room in the corner of our young adult department that's got room for one desk and 2 people at the most, and that room is used a lot. The alternative is for people to meet out in the library, and they do, but their conversations are heard. Their conversations disturb other people. We opened up our boardroom on the 2nd floor for people to use for that purpose so that it reduces the volume and the disturbance that they create for other patrons. But we can't open it at night or on weekends because there's nobody up there. We can't leave somebody in that room when that entire hall is unattended, is really not being supervised. So there are a lot of ways that we can put new lights in, we can put new doors in, we can put new tiles on the ceiling, but that doesn't alter the fact that the comments we heard from the community, the way that people use libraries is something that really needs re-examined, just as it was in '84. The library said we needed meeting rooms, got meeting rooms. There are a lot of ways that people want to use the library that are simply impossible in the facility as it's designed now. So.
Any other questions?
No,
Thank you.
the library is a beloved place among our community members, for sure.
I think so. We get a lot of positive comments. Of course, thousands of people use the library. A lot of our programs and services have served as models for other libraries in the region and the state. So there's no doubt that this partnership has been great. The funding, the support, and has been wonderful. And I would really like to see that continue and build a new or renovate or in some way create another magnet for the community, another shining example of how Leavenworth looks for its future and serves its community.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to consent agenda.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I move to approve the claims for February 21st, 2025 through March 6th, 2025 in the amount of $1,903,135.74. Net amount for payroll number 4 effective February 21st, 2025 in the amount of $440,432.55. Includes police and fire pension in the amount of $7,753.58.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and second. Begin voting with Commissioner Hengela.
Aye.
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 All right. Anything for us tonight, Patty?
I do. I have 2 items. If you have noticed, it is currently pothole season. To make it easy for people to report potholes, the city has an online form. So if you go to the city's website, leavenworthks.org, you can just search for pothole, that form will come up, and you can let the city know about that, and we'll get that looked at. And if you would like to avoid the potholes, you can choose to take the Ride LV program. And just a reminder, that program is available, it's $2 per person each ride. I have statistics from the last week in February alone. We had 343 passengers use the program. So we continue to see good stats for that program. It kicked off in April of 2023, but now we're 2 years in and seeing some good numbers. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. That's all I had for tonight.
Did you want to talk about the city cleanup, just for people who don't have social media?
Sure, I can share that. So unfortunately, the city had to cancel the spring citywide cleanup that was scheduled for April. We had some staffing items. They were all really good news. A lot of longtime staff had retirements. We have a staff member on maternity leave. So that left us without the people we would normally have to take on some of those projects.
Okay.
It's possible as we get additional staffing later on in the year, we might be able to look at some sort of alternate event. We know that there's certainly community support to do a cleanup and beautify the city and for organizations to participate, so we'd be looking at that, but it wouldn't be till summer or fall at the earliest.
Okay. Is there the shredding gonna be done and the other stuff that went along with the
Not
cleanup?
at this time, but that's something we could
No.
look at.
Okay. Good for
But people can still go out and clean the city
Yes, sir.
anytime they want.
Anytime you want.
We love it. All right, Commissioner Martin?
Nothing tonight. Hope everybody has a great week. Thanks.
Well, somebody was actually talking to me today about city cleanup, and they said, you know, there are certain areas of town that, you know, along the streets and stuff, we used to have adopt a highway. And what
They
about
still do, don't they?
if something, what, I don't think it's,
We have an Adopt a Park, that
Adopt a
program is
well, yeah, we
available.
do, but not the adopt a highway, but there might, you know, it might be interesting to look at what other communities are doing about
Clean up?
trash, you know,
Yeah.
just trash people are thrown out the windows and stuff. In some areas of town, it's worse than others. But maybe have organizations like ROTC or, you know, different organizations adopt a street at different times of the year and just
Like the main
carry
streets,
that,
like 10th or Spruce.
carry the cleanup through the whole year instead of just 1 month.
Out of the year. That's a good idea.
Yep, we try to watch the trash because it affects our water systems.
Yes,
So that's something that we're always looking for items to improve that, so we'll
And we still have the
take a look.
3
at
Mile Creek cleanup monthly, don't we?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
so that
That's been
goes
very
through
successful.
Parks and Recreation, nonprofits can get $500 of a grant if they sign up and do cleanup on 3 Mile Creek.
That's great.
Yep, and that's all I have.
Commissioner Engel?
Yeah, it's a little early, but I want to start bringing people's attention to the idea, or to the event that's coming up on the 15th of April, on Tuesday, the 15th of April, between 11:30 and 13:30. I'm sorry, 11:30 and 1:30 in the afternoon. What's called the State of the City will be held down in Riverfront Community Center. And it's the first time in at least a long time, I guess. If, I don't know, I don't remember when it was ever done, as long as I've been here. But I think it's something you want to try to put it on your calendar and look at attending and seeing what is the state of the city of Leavenworth. What things have we done? How much have we gotten moved forward on in the way of projects to improve the city?
And they can ask questions. People
Sure.
can come and ask questions and they can have lunch.
Find out even more than what's initially told.
Well, thank you. Thanks for reminding. The Save the Date, I think, went out, and it was on our socials too, so.
Correct, yep, that's going out to the Save the Date for the April 15th event.
And we might want to try to get something in the paper too. Commissioner Wilson?
See you all at the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna,
Mayor Holly will be in her moped.
maybe, I'm a little nervous.
Mayor Holly moped. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it and enjoy this beautiful, beautiful weather. Make sure you check on your neighbors and God bless you, love you, and hope you have a great week.
Absolutely, and the parade starts off at noon, and it will be downtown. So come downtown, have some corned beef and cabbage if you like that. Lots of places, small businesses will be open downtown. And I think they're open up early, and the weather's gonna be like, I saw 75 degrees, so we should have a great turnout. And it's spring break for the kids, so hopefully we have a good turnout this year. But other than that, I guess I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Begin voting with Commissioner Engel.
Aye.
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 All right.